Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Tetcher, and welcome to another episode of Tetcher Teaches Minis. I am now back home, aka no longer at the studio, which is why, unfortunately, you have terrible camera quality, no green screen, and the mess that is my room behind me. I promise I am tidying it up. But a quick shout out, because I love making these episodes. I love making YouTube content and casting stuff for you guys, and many other things in terms of content. But in order to do that to the best efficiency, I need to be somewhere that I can stream more often, and to do that I do need a budget. Casting doesn't get me enough to do what I do full time at the moment, so if you guys really want to support me and help me in making this kind of content, there is a link to my Patreon in the description below. Now that the shameless self-plugging is over, this is the show where I teach people maybe a bit of a lower level, moving up to the mid-level. We're going to keep moving the show up to higher and higher levels as we go, so that we can try and get people who come into the game and have them, if they watch along, improve in their own way by themselves. Hopefully, that's the end game, because the end game is you're always going to need to play yourself to improve. But in this particular episode, this tip, trick, whatever you want to call it, was suggested by a lot of people. A lot of people indeed. It's a map-specific trick, and that is how to deal with the Punisher on Infernal Shrines when it spawns. For those who don't know, Infernal Shrines is one of the Heaven versus Hell maps, the Eternal Conflict maps, and it's the one where it summons all the little skeletons, not the one with the giant angels. But it summons all an altar spawns, a shrine spawns, all the little skeletons appear. First team to reach 40 skeletons is able to take control of the... not take control, it's able to summon a Punisher, and that Punisher will push the lane. Now, even up to my level, I see people who don't know how to deal with the Punisher. So I'm going to show you how not to deal with it first, like what issues can come with the Punisher and why this is worth talking about, and then I'll show you how you should deal with it. So let's jump into game here. Very nice, smooth as butter. So, as you can see here, I loaded up a game. I was playing the Tyrande down here. I decided to not grab any of the skeletons because I wanted to show this. I loaded up a bot, Illidan, to help me with the demonstration here. So let's hit play here. You can see Illidan just about to finish off the Punisher. So now, let's talk about how the Punisher works. Punisher respawn, this one appears to be an arcane one. You can tell by the colour that's on top. If it's purple, it's arcane. That's the one that has hang on, let me... the arcane one is the one that places down the little turret thing that spins a laser around. That's the one that does the most damage. You should be careful with that. That thing can deal a lot of damage if you are not very careful around the lasers. They will kill you. Orange is going to be a mortar Punisher. That one sieges you. It's fairly reasonably easy to dodge and can drop a fair amount of AoE damage to clear stuff quite quickly. And then there's the Frost Punisher, in my opinion the most dangerous, because it drops a little circle on the ground, a little icicle. That icicle will grow and then explode. Anyone who's inside the circle, it will drop multiples at a time, will be rooted. And this can allow the enemy team to capitalize on you and kill you. However, all the Punishers share one certain ability, and that is a jump stun, where the Punisher will target the closest person to them. So hang on, let me show you in game. For example, if the Punisher wants to jump here, it won't jump until it's got to like here-ish, I think. After it's got to here, it will actually, that ability will activate on it. Can we see it if we select it? No, we can't. Oh well. But the Punisher will always jump onto the nearest person to it, and that is a very, very important factor, because that person, the person who the Punisher jumps onto and where they are is the most important part about dealing with the Punisher. So let's jump into the game quickly and show you how not to do it. So you see the Punisher moves up. Now, if you deal with bosses a lot of the times, you will have an instinctual reaction to start attacking the Punisher, to work it down before it gets to your base. This is what you should really do with bosses a lot of the time, to make sure that it does as little damage to your structure as possible. This is not what you should do with a Punisher. You can see the Punisher going to beat up on some things here. I'm going to poke it, and it immediately turns around and jumps onto me. If I hadn't been lucky here, this is actually pure luck, and dropped my stun here, then Illidan would have been able to jump onto me and capitalize on the Punisher stunning me. As you can see, I'm stunned, taking half my health worth of damage, and then the Punisher is going to chase me down. It won't get the kill on me, but now you can see the issue with being in front of my gate. This is the most important bit. In front of the gate, when the Punisher jumps on you, means that you do not have your towers defending you from enemy heroes like Illidan, who are going to try and chase over here. And now I have I've been dropped very low on health because Illidan was able to get some counter damage on me as well. The Punisher dropped some good damage on me. And the Punisher is now wailing on my front door in the same place that the enemy heroes are. So the enemy heroes now have something tanking these towers for them so that they're able to just kill them. That's where the problem comes in. You don't want this thing to be tanking. The Punisher doesn't actually do that much damage. You can see here it has 164 attack damage. I have 164 attack damage. So the Punisher does barely as much attack damage as Tyrande does. Illidan also appears to have 164. That might be incorrect. That might just be a display bug there, but I'm not entirely sure. But either way, the Punisher's auto attack doesn't actually do a huge amount. So what you want to do is to bring it somewhere where it's more convenient to deal with. As you can see, the Punisher now just wailing on my stuff, beating up on my stuff, and I'm way too low to be defending against it. But the Punisher will only jump on people that have vision. I mentioned it will jump on the target closest to it. It needs to have vision of that target. So you can see it jumps there because I gave vision of it by using an ability, and it's easily able to kill me. So mistakes were made in that one. Now let me show you how you're supposed to do it. So for starters, positioning. Don't let it jump on you from in front when you are in front of your wall. Let me load up the next replay here. I only have 2 here. I'm having to do this in replay, so I can't do it in try mode. But I need to fast forward as well, unfortunately, to get to a shrine phase. But positioning is very, very important for this, because if it jumps on you when you're in front of your gate, like I said, then it's going to punish you and the enemies are going to punish you. It's called a Punisher for a reason. It punishes people with bad positioning. And hang on, I'm just going to make sure I pause in the right spot. There we go. Jump the speed back down and jump into game. So here we have a more suitable hero for dealing with the Punisher. Here is Muradin. Muradin is a tank hero. You can see I was dropped to half health because I decided to jump in and actually contest a tiny bit here with Muradin, but pull him back here. Muradin will regen his health. And Illidan is still going to get the Punisher. There's no contestation about that. He's gonna get that. Immediately, the very first thing that I do as Muradin, and what every hero on your team should do, if you are not the tank, then if you're not the tank, and even if you are the tank, your job is to get behind this wall as quickly as possible. Whichever wall, if the Punisher's in top lane, you get behind this wall. If the Punisher's in bot lane, you get behind this wall. No matter what happens, you get behind that wall as quickly as possible. Or you can team fight up here, but that's a very, very rare occurrence. So you can see I immediately retreat behind the wall. Just get the hell out of there. Want nothing to do with that. Looks like it is 164. Sweet. So the Punisher's now going to move up to the wall. There's a minion wave as well, but Illidan is pushing up with it. I don't know what that is. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know what that was. But, so the Punisher has pushed all the way up to the wall. Now, like I said before, the Punisher itself doesn't actually do a huge amount of damage, but it does tank a lot of hits. So what you want to do is to make sure that it's in a situation where when it jumps on heroes, it's not going to do too much damage. It's not going to tank too many hits for the opponents. The perfect position to bring it to is here. Try and get it in between this tower and this fort. You can either have it with this tower still hitting it or not, but either way, this tower is still going to be hitting minions and enemies, and this fountain, which is very important to keep your fountains alive because you need them for healing, is going to be unaffected and undamaged. Muradin is perfect for this. Normally you want the Punisher to jump onto a hero who has enough health to absorb it. But I'm not going to show you that here. I'm going to show you a little trick you can do with Muradin, for example. You can do this with Muradin, with Tass, with anyone who has a jump or a resistant ability. So we're going to hit play here. Now, like I said, the Punisher will only jump when it has vision. The second you fire an ability that will go past this gate, or the enemy is able to do something over that gains vision, then the Punisher will have enough vision to jump. It will take a bit of a wind up and then jump. Also, quick heads up, if Muradin is here and you're on Muradin's team, your job is to be anywhere behind this line. This line here, you need to be away from... Actually, probably this line here because the Punisher has a radius. Just make sure that you are not the closest one to the Punisher if you're not the one who can tank or evade it. So like I said, throw an ability over the wall and the Punisher will have vision of you. That means it can jump. Muradin has an ability that works quite... Muradin can either tank the hit, where the Punisher jumps over and stuns him, and then run backwards to this little gap here, pull the Punisher into that, and make sure that the Punisher is getting hit by the fort and the tower, and that gate is a little easier to defend, and then can start tanking it himself. Or he could do it a bit of a sneakier way, and there's a couple heroes that can do this. It's worth testing all of them, and that is to use Dwarf Toss. So here we go. Let's see what happens here. So I've given the Punisher now has vision of me. In fact, I can show you. If I jump onto Illidan's view, which should be 2, there we go. It does not appear to have vision of me. Can I jump onto the Punisher's view? V? No. L? No. Okay, that does not appear to work. I thought that might work, but apparently it does not. So let's just jump back to E here. But either way, I have thrown my Stormbolt at the Punisher. The Punisher now has vision of me. Its immediate reaction is to jump. You can see the circle means that the jump animation has started. Muradin, however, because I already mentioned that the second you throw the ability, the Punisher has vision of you. Oh wait, I still have camera lock on. There we go. Because I mentioned the Punisher already has vision of you, the first thing the Punisher is going to do is to jump. The Punisher jumps to a location, which is where the hero is, not to the hero itself. So Muradin is able to jump using Dwarf Toss. I hit L again, didn't mean to do that. He's able to jump using Dwarf Toss and make it so that he's not in range of the Punisher when it lands with the stun. So now what we have here is this tower is going to be able to attack Illidan because the Punisher's now out of range. This tower is still attacking the Punisher. This tower and this fort are now attacking the Punisher, and Muradin isn't stunned. So that's the best case scenario. That is the best case way to deal with the Punisher. You can now see Muradin able to tank this through. And we're going to see here, Illidan. This is just a bot, Illidan, but this could happen. Enemies could try and overgreed with this. It's going to try and chase in and deal with Muradin. Muradin now able to pull back because the Punisher is being hit by this tower and this fort and this tower. So it's going to do some damage. Whereas Muradin is able to solely focus on dealing with the Illidan, who's overextended here. Going to drop some attack slows, dodge out the mortars for the Punisher, make sure he's out of the range of the Punisher's stun. And as you can see, the Punisher is now already dead. The Punisher has died while only losing a wall, as opposed to losing both towers that we saw in the last one, and a hero. In this case, Muradin's alive. He was able to tank through. I did a bit of miss micro against the Illidan bot there, but overall did survive. The 4 has taken almost no damage, only some ammo. This tower's taken some damage, these 2 towers taken some damage, and only the gate has died. So if you had 5, that's with 1 hero defending. If you had 5, that damage would have been even less because the Punisher would have died even quicker because of the amount of focus. And because Illidan overextended here, we're going to watch to see Illidan bot get focused by towers and myself on the Muradin. Able to very easily, very simply chase that down and get the snipe. So there are the advantages of making sure that the Punisher gets over your wall. The person working out who is best on your team to bait the Punisher is very easy. It's once again similar to fighting who is tanking the boss. Is the person who will either have the most sustain to tank through the Punisher, or someone who has a dodge to just bait it over the wall. But you should always bait the Punisher over the wall, and always make sure that only one person does the baiting. If you have 3 people clump up at the front because they're all going to be like, I'm going to bait the Punisher, or 2 people are just too stupid, then you're going to get 3-man stun. The enemy can maybe push over the wall and try and kill you because the boss will be tanking still. If they can get over the wall, if they have heroes that can do that, then you're in some serious trouble. But if you are the tank, then you need to make sure you're far enough forward. If your teammates group up with you, then you don't really have a huge amount of choice. You just have to... Your teammates are the problem there. You can't really do a huge amount about that. I believe you can, maybe if you move up to the side, you can maybe draw it up here and then lure it round. But try and just minimize the amount of people stunned as possible. If you're anyone except the tank, you keep pulling back. You keep pulling back until your tank is the one that is furthest forward. Because if your tank wants to pull back with you, then you're all in trouble. If you think you can sustain and your tank's being a coward, then you can push forward on your own and try and be the one to tank that location and deal with it. But yeah, like I said, like here, this area is a pretty good place to try and this square here is a pretty good place to try and bait the Punisher from. A lot of heroes could do it. Heroes you shouldn't do it with are Tannis. He's not ideal for that as a tank. Johanna could do it. Muradin could do it. Tas could do it. Like I said, if you pop Dimensional Shift, he's one of the few non-tanks who is pretty ideal for this kind of role. But yeah, just don't bait the Punisher into somewhere that's going to mess up your team, either a place where he can kill the Fountain, or he's going to stun the rest of your teammates. But if you aren't the tank, then your job is to let that tank and then immediately move in and kill that Punisher as quick as possible and defend the base. But that is how you minimize the damage done by the Punisher, because it does have full damage on its own. It's all about what it does setting up for a team. And another small tidbit I will show you in game. If a fort dies, like say this fort died, and these buildings were down as well, and the Punisher's still alive, your job is once again to immediately get behind this wall. You don't stick around, because the Punisher, what's it going to do now that it no longer has a target to go? It's going to go, jump, and stun you again. And then you're going to be once again in the exact same situation you were in the first, you would have been in the first replay I showed you, where you are stunned, the Punisher has set you up for the enemy team to kill you. So there you go. That is how you deal with the Punisher, how you bait it over, who should bait it over, and the best positioning for that. I hope you've all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys have a suggestion for something you'd like to hear about, if you're a high level player and there's something you'd like lower level players to know, then please leave that in the comment section below, or come speak to me on Discord. If you're a lower level player and there's something you've heard about, or just something you're not quite getting, something you think might help you if I explained it a little bit better, then once again, same rules, leave that in the comment section below, or come speak to me on Discord. If you want to support me in making these episodes and many other different parts of content like it, then you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. There will be a button to that below this video, unless you're watching on Reddit, in which case click that little icon up in the top left, right, yes, top right, which is that side for you guys. You can do that, or you can go to my Patreon, as mentioned before, which is in the in the description. Pretty sure I mentioned that. But either way, you can support me there. Thank you all very much for watching. I will see you all next time.